You're watching KSL Sports Live.
Okay, campers, rise and shine, and don't forget your booties, because it's cold out there. No, this is not Miami Beach. This is KSL Sports Live, and that's right, Woodchuck Chuckers. It's Groundhog Day. What better way to embark on 6 more weeks of winter than with us right here, right now? This is the Utah Hockey Club show as well. You know, is it the Hockey Club? Is it the Mammoth? Is it the Outlaws? Who knows? But we've got their highlights against the St. Louis Blues coming up. Plus, BYU's heating up in Big 12 hoops. A look at what went so well this week for them. And some college football. Yeah, we've got that too. It's all coming up. But we're going to start off in a wild 24 hours in the NBA. The trade deadline's coming up Thursday afternoon. The Utah Jazz, they're well positioned to be a team active and participating if the right deal comes their way. But it was the Lakers and Mavs that shocked everyone late Saturday night. The Dallas Mavericks have traded Luka Doncic to the Lakers, along with the 5-time All-Star. The Lakers will be getting Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris. Doncic has been out of action since Christmas with a calf strain, but according to reports, he's targeting a return to play as early as next week. Doncic averages 28.6 points, 8.7 rebounds, and 8.3 assists for his career. So, what do the Mavs get in return? Well, how about 31-year-old, 9-time All-Star Anthony Davis, guard Max Christie, and the Lakers' 2029 first-round draft pick? Davis played 5.5 seasons in LA, which included that NBA title run in 2020 in the bubble. According to reports, the Mavericks made the trade because they don't believe Doncic can stay healthy through the length of a new max contract. And the Utah Jazz, they were a part of this deal as well. The Lakers still had to get rid of another player to make the salaries work in the trade, so they sent Jalen Hood-Schifino, the 17th pick in the 2023 draft, to the Jazz, and they get second-round picks from both the Lakers and the Mavs in this year's draft as well. The Jazz only had to give up the minimum in return, $55,000 to each of those teams. All right, did you catch all that? There's a lot to take in here. Here's what the complete deal looks like. The Jazz still not a partner for any big game hunts just yet, but they continue to add assets that would have value in a future trade. And for the Jazz to add Hood-Schifino, they needed to let someone go. You see there that someone they waived. It was Mo Bamba, a player that they had picked up along with P.J. Tucker and a second-round draft pick in a trade with the L.A. Clippers on Saturday morning. The Jazz sent Drew Eubanks and Patty Mills to L.A. in that deal. A week and a half ago, the Jazz also acquired the Phoenix Suns' 2031 first-round draft pick, an unprotected pick, in exchange for the least favorable first-round picks that the Jazz have in 2025, 27, and 29. Now, that was just the beginning of what looks to be a pretty active trade deadline in the league, because on Sunday evening, it was 2 more All-Stars headlining a multi-team trade that involved the Bulls, Kings, and Spurs. In that deal, the Spurs are receiving De'Aaron Fox from the Kings, and the Kings, they're getting Zach LaVine from the Bulls. The Kings also get 3 first-round, 3 second-round picks, as well as Sidi Sissoko from the Spurs. The Spurs land Fox and Kings guard Jordan McLaughlin, while the Bulls pick up Spurs players Zach Collins and Trey Jones, and Kevin Huerter from the Kings. Well, the Mavericks already on the court today without Luka and getting owned by the Cavs. Great ball movement. Jarrett Allen with the dunk. Darius Garland hits the corner 3, which would be part of a franchise record 91 points in the first half. And then how about Sam Money Merrill, the biggest day of them all? The former Aggie hits his 8th 3 of the game, and then right there, that's number 9, a new franchise record for the Cavs with 9 threes in one game. Cleveland blows past the Mavericks, 144 to 101. Well, from the NBA to the ice, the Utah Hockey Club, they've got a lot in common with the St. Louis Blues right now. Both are Central Division teams on a 4-game losing streak, and both are in the hunt for a wild card spot in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Utah just 1 point ahead of the Blues in the standings. Today at Delta Center, the 2 face off for the 3rd time this season. Utah winning the previous 2 meetings. Show for it. Utah coming up short for the 5th straight game. Utah drops to 21-22-9 on the season. St. Louis leaps ahead of Utah in the standings with 52 points to Utah's 51 points. Utah has been playing with playoff energy as of late, but was that the case today?
Not today. Not today. I didn't like our energy. I didn't like
this and had a lot of talk, and I think that everyone's really said just about all that could be said. I mean, at some point it needs to get put into practice. but ultimately not getting wins. And I've said it before, like we're judged on whether we win or lose.
You finish at that homestand at least at 500 and hit the road and have a hell of a road trip before the break. There's no doubt about it.
Up next for Utah, the Flyers on Tuesday. Tonight, the Flyers were facing the Avs. Second period, Jonathan Drouin drops it off to Samuel Girard on the break. He scores. It's a 1-0 Avs lead. Later in the period, Nathan McKinnon scores from the left wing. Avs up 2-0. Mackenzie Blackwood had a big day. He was a wall for the Avalanche. 24 saves. It's his second straight shutout, and the Avs win 2-0. Red Rocks are competing in their third meet away from home this season. This afternoon, a 3-team meet between Big 12 foe West Virginia and second-ranked Florida from the SEC. Red Rocks in West Virginia looking to get a good road score for their national qualifying score here. On the floor first, McKenna Smith, an all-around superstar for Utah this year. How about a 9.9 on her rotation here? Grace McCallum, also the floor anchor, getting a 9.925. Red Rocks in second place after that floor routine. On to the vault now. It's Smith again, having an excellent time on vault this year. Sticks this landing, 9.950. What a beauty. That ties for the Utah is tied for the lead. Here we go, third rotation, this time on the bars. The Red Rocks get a feeling of deja vu here. 3 straight, 9.875. That's kind of a big gap to make up in gymnastics. Red Rocks ending on beam. Anna Paderariu on the leadoff starts. The big moment today in college hoops. Former Iowa star Caitlin Clark had her jersey retired today by the Hawkeyes, and that moment seemed to fuel the team today against 4th-ranked USC. Iowa would lead by as much as 17. Aaliyah Guyton hits the 3. USC would make a comeback. Kennedy Smith, 3 from the corner. It's a 3-point game. Iowa holds strong, though. Addison O'Grady, the jumper. And the Hawkeyes are celebrating. They beat number 4 USC 76-67. All right, how about back to the NBA? The Memphis Grizzlies visiting the Milwaukee Bucks. First quarter, Bucks Ryan Rollins drives. Grizzlies Jaren Jackson gets an elbow to the face. He would head to the locker room, but he would return for the start of the second quarter. In the third, he hits the 3 to cut the Bucks lead to 4. Then in the fourth quarter, he hits another 3 over Giannis, giving Memphis a 5-point lead. Jackson finished with 37 points. The Grizzlies get a nice road win, 132-119. The LA Clippers visiting the Toronto Raptors. Third quarter, Clippers Derrick Jones Jr. running dunk there. Clippers trailing by 1. Then the Raptors respond. Ochai Agbaji, remember him feeding R.J. Barrett, who throws it down. Toronto up 7. Agbaji gets it to Grady Dick, who drives, throws one down with the right hand, 80-69. To put the game away, Scotty Barnes to Grady for the alley-oop dunk. Raptors win 115-108. That certainly helps the Jazz in their tank quest, right? All right, the BYU basketball team, they're beginning to heat up at the right time of the season. Who's been the spark behind BYU's current win streak?
We should expect to beat good teams because we're a good team.
BYU continues its climb. It's Utah State that's falling. Tough outcome last night at the Spectrum has the Aggies falling down the conference standings. That's coming up, and with the NBA trade deadline just 3.5 days away, will the Jazz make any more moves? If so, who will be on the trade block? We'll look at some possible outcomes for Utah's options if they get involved.
You're watching KSL Sports Live.
Winning obviously breeds confidence, and shot making breeds confidence. You always have ups and downs, and you hope to capitalize on the ups and build on them. We've really stacked good days practice-wise, and now we got to stack wins.
BYU's venture into its second season of Big 12 basketball had a bit of a rough start. A new head coach, several new players, and the Cougars had a stretch of losing 4 of 5 in conference play. But now things seem to be clicking, just as March is right around the corner, too. BYU has now won 4 in a row, and the third win in that streak gave BYU its best win of the season so far. A quad 1 win against the Baylor Bears on Tuesday night at the Marriott Center. Diego Deming had one of his best games of the season, 15 points, 6 assists. Richie Saunders helped the Cougars out with 17 points. But it was the freshman, Cannon Catchings, who had the perfect night. 8 for 8 from the field, 4 for 4 from 3. and 3 for 3 from the free throw line. The first Division I freshman in the last 25 years to have that perfect stat line. 23 points in BYU's overtime win.
Our guys haven't waned. I think their ability to stack good days in practice and now stack 3 wins in a row, I think, gives them great confidence. And I told them in the locker room that we should expect to beat good teams because we're a good team, and we've kind of had that mantra since I've gotten here. And I think our guys are at first I'm not sure if they believed it, but I think as more we go, I think they're gaining confidence in that.
Well, then on Saturday, BYU went on the road to face Central Florida. In Joe Lunardi's latest bracketology, he had BYU as one of his first 4 teams out of the tournament, while UCF was his last team in, which put some added value to the Big 12 matchup in Orlando, and the Cougars delivered. Trevin Nell scored 15 points in 20 minutes, including a 4-point play that kept BYU within 2 by halftime. Mawit Mag had a big game, scoring 19 points, the second most of his career, 3 3-pointers and 5 assists. And Richie Saunders led BYU with 22 points, 6 threes, while Keba Keita had 10 points and 2 huge blocks in the final seconds to seal the Cougars' 81-75 road win. There's no doubt who the leader is on this team. During the 4-game win streak, Richie Saunders has emerged as the go-to guy in Kevin Young's system. He's made 14 3-pointers during that stretch, almost 54% from 3-point range, and 52% from the field for an average of 21.3 points per game. Now, the win streak has launched BYU up the conference standings, currently 5th place with that 6-4 league record. Houston, Arizona, Texas Tech, Iowa State, those are the top 4 teams. Now, speaking of Arizona, they will be in Provo on Tuesday night, tipping off against the Cougars at 9 p.m. on ESPN. Meanwhile, up in Logan, the Utah State Aggies, they've been building the best NCAA tournament resume in the state. A 19-2 overall record, top 40 in the net rankings, an 8th seed in Lunardi's bracketology, and first place in the Mountain West Conference as well. Utah State's 19th win was a big one on Wednesday night, a revenge game. Their only conference loss to that point was a loss against UNLV down in Las Vegas earlier in the month. Now, by 8, a lead they would hold on to and secure that win 76-71. The Aggies' toughest home test of the season, that was the New Mexico Lobos Saturday night. Tied with the Aggies for first place in conference play, they came to Logan, and they believed that they could win. Utah State was cold shooting, almost nothing falling in the first half, yet they still built a 36-30 halftime lead. But if things were cold in the first, they got even worse in the second. The Aggies made just 1 of 13 second-half 3-pointers. They shot 16% from 3-point range for the game, 5 of 31, and a measly 43% from the free throw line. Drake Allen led Utah State with 14 off the bench, while 4 Lobos scored in double figures in Utah State's 19-point home court loss.
You know, Stu Morrill's message before UNLV I thought was spot on. Players win the games in February, right? Your players have got to step up and lead in the tough times during the game, make plays. And I have a lot of confidence those kids will do it. They'll bounce back. They've had a tough 2 weeks, shooting the ball, seeing the ball go through the basket. It's amazing what that round ball will do. It'll take you all over the world. It'll take you real high, and tonight we're real low, right? So it's an amazing game. It is a game, and we got to be ready to go because we got 2 of them this week.
Well, that Aggies loss now has them in second place in the Mountain West, 1 spot behind New Mexico, and they're tied in the loss column with Colorado State. Utah State plays them in Logan in 11 days, but before then, the Aggies will have 2 straight on the road. Tuesday at Wyoming, then Friday at Fresno State. The Utah Hockey Club received a bit of tough news this week. Center Logan Cooley is out indefinitely with a lower body injury, an injury that he sustained in the loss to the Penguins on Wednesday night. Cooley's 3rd on the team with 15 goals, 2nd in points with 43. Veteran forward Alexander Kerfoot is taking Cooley's place on the top line with Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz in the interim.
You feeling a little bit snake bit or unlucky right now?
Oh, yeah. To say the least. If I had more vocabulary, I will find something even worse than that. I will say 12 scoring chance against 4 in the third period in the last 2 games. And we lost 3-1. That's, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, You know, some things are just unexplainable. Sometimes bad luck just seems to follow you wherever you go. That seems to be the case for the Utah Hockey Club lately. Over the last 5 games, Utah has 74 third-period shots, just 2 goals to show for that. They've now played 13 straight games, tied or leading in the third period. Just 4 wins in that stretch. Just a couple of shots and a couple of puck bounces in their favor. And, well, things could be in a different direction. Things could be going their way, making a big difference in the standings. Utah 6 points behind Calgary for a wild card spot in the West. Even though they haven't won in their last 5, they still know that this season's not lost. The playoffs are still a real possibility.
We're playing for playoff lives right now.
These are playoff games for us. We need to win. We need to push. I know we have some injuries, but there's no excuses. Like I said, it's NHL, so we got to find a way here.
We've gotten hot this year before, and it takes a game or 2, and your confidence is at an all-time high, and you keep rolling it over, and you squeeze out some wins that maybe you shouldn't. So we just got to stay confident and keep going. And, like I said, there's a lot of games left, and that's when we have to play our best is these last games.
A few Flames losses would help too, right? Today the Flames taking on the Kraken. First period, Calgary up 2-0. Jonathan Huberdeau scores to extend the lead to 3-0, but the Kraken make a push. Brandon Tanev taps it in back to Jared McCann. His shot is deflected in by Tanev. Kraken trail by 1. Seattle trying to tie things up, but Dan Vladar gets the stop. And the Flames hang on to get the win, 3-2. Boo. The Ducks are 1 point behind Utah. They were hosting the Canadiens. Ducks trailed 2-0 heading into the second period, but climb right back in. Frank Vetrano with the equalizer. Still tied in the third. Anaheim's Alex Killorn, the wrister. Lucas Dostal with a few key saves as well. This one after the Canadiens pulled their keeper. The Ducks with 3 unanswered get the win, which brought them to within 1 point of Utah. Las Vegas was trying to snap a 2-game losing streak in the Garden, taking on the Rangers. Wrong Garden, right? Scoreless in the final seconds of the first. Vegas on the power play. Jack Eichel puts the Knights up 1-0. Vegas led 2-1 entering the third, but the Rangers scored 3 unanswered in that period. They hand Vegas their 3rd straight loss. Now, it's been a busy 2025 for the Utah Jazz front office. The Jazz picking up Jalen Hood-Schifino and 2 second-round picks in that Doncic-Davis trade. The Jazz waived Mo Bamba to make room for Schifino. They got Bamba along with P.J. Tucker and a second-round draft pick in a trade with the L.A. Clippers on Saturday morning. The Jazz sent Drew Eubanks and Patty Mills to L.A. in that deal. And a few weeks ago, of course, the Jazz also acquired the Phoenix Suns' 2031 first-round draft pick, an unprotected pick, in exchange for the least favorable first-round picks that the Jazz have in 2025, 27, and 29. That's just a primer for the NBA trade deadline, which is coming upon us on Thursday afternoon. The Jazz are one of a few teams in the league that are loaded with valuable draft assets that franchises would be willing to hit, if they're willing to hit the reset button, would want some of those, right? But is there a deal that the Jazz will make before Thursday? Is there a partner out there that makes sense? If so, which players would the Jazz be willing to part with? Maybe John Collins. He could be one of them. He has a player option on his contract for $26.5 million next season. His name had come up earlier in the week in some trade rumors. Collins is averaging 18 points per game, 8 rebounds, and shoots 46% from the three-point line. Colin Sexton's another player who has a tradable contract. He's owed $19.1 million next season. Sexton has been having his best season since joining the Jazz. 18.7 points per game and 4.2 assists. He's also shooting 41% from the three-point line and almost 90% from the free throw line. And he has 2 30-point games to his name this season as well. Jordan Clarkson, well, he may be aging a bit. He's been injured, but he is a desirable piece for a team that could use a bit of a shooting spark off the bench. Clarkson is owed $14 million next season. He's averaging 16 points per game this season and has been shooting 45% from the three-point line since he returned from his back injury. Svi Mikhailiuk is a guy who has been getting a lot of minutes with the Jazz this season, which of course increases his trade value too. He has 3 years left on his contract worth $11.5 million. This year for the Jazz, he's been playing close to 20 minutes per game. He has 5 games in which he has made 4 or more three-point shots, and he's shooting 36% from downtown on the season. Even though the Jazz just picked up P.J. Tucker, there's a good chance they could also just turn around and deal him away too to a team in need. Tucker's in his his 13th season in the NBA. He's owed $11.5 million this season. Utah Jazz could use a bit of what the Salt Lake Stars have been doing on Saturday night. The Stars made 24 three-pointers on 50 attempts. The 24 threes are a franchise record. Elijah Harkless made 7 of those on 11 attempts. Keyshawn Justice wasn't far behind. He added 6 on 11 shots. Isaiah Thomas made 4. 6 different players made at least 1 3 in that game for the Salt Lake Stars. All right, when college football players and NFL coaches collide, it must be the Senior Bowl, one of the best draft resume building opportunities out there. And a handful of local players had a great showing at the Senior Bowl as well. We've got that coming up. And the Jazz, well, we know they've been involved in some big deadline trades before. We'll flash back to some of the biggest deals that they've made. That and the whistling belly button trick. It's all coming up next. Well, on Friday night, the Utah women's basketball team pulled off its 3rd straight win in Big 12 play, a 67-58 win over the Arizona Wildcats. And the Utes, they were led once again by the Big 12 Player of the Week, Gianna Neepkins. She's been playing out of her mind lately. Neepkins shot 8 for 15 from the field, which included 3 three-pointers, and she was a perfect 9 for 9 from the free throw line, on her way to a 28-point, 7-rebound night. Neepkins has now scored 30, 32, and 28 over her past 3 games, all Utah wins. Since conference play began, Neepkins has made 33 three-pointers, which is 1st in the Big 12, and is now averaging 21.1 points per game, 3rd in the Big 12. She's also top 13 in rebounds and assists, and her productivity is showing up in Utah's team results.
Just playing basketball or practicing like how I play, and then if I get the ball, shoot it confidently.
She is in the gym every day. Like, I go in there and she's already has a sweat going. Like, she is working on her game every day. So I don't think people understand, like, yeah, she's really good, but she has worked so hard to be where she is. And I just wanted to let people know that because, like, she's worked really hard for this. So, and I'm just really proud of her, and I'm blessed to have a teammate like that because it pushes me to get to that level as well.
Stockton with the ball, front court left. He looks to Karl Malone. He's got him low. The mailman jumps it. Shot up. It's in. He did it. He did it. John Stockton to Karl Malone. John Stockton with 11 assists. They're on their feet. A new NBA assist king of the NBA.
How about that? That's a record that'll never be broken. Basketball, John Stockton became the NBA assist king 30 years ago yesterday. That little bounce pass to the mailman who hit the jumper for Stockton's 10,142nd career assist to pass Magic Johnson for the all-time lead. Stockton would end up finishing his career with 15,806 assists, which is still 3,600 more than the next closest, who is Chris Paul. Although the Jazz are in position to make a big-time trade before the deadline Thursday, history tells us they more likely than not will be pretty quiet this week, especially when it comes to adding key players to help them become contenders. Maybe history will be different this year, but probably the biggest deadline deal in Jazz franchise history came back in 1994. The Jazz traded away Jeff Malone to the Philadelphia 76ers, along with a first-round draft pick for Jeff Hornacek. Hornacek was considered by many as the missing piece that helped the Jazz get to the finals. He went on to play in 477 career games in a Jazz uniform, averaging 14.4 points and 4 assists per game, and Larry Miller retired his jersey. The biggest deal the Jazz made when it came to sending a player away, that had to be Darren Williams in 2011. D-Will was NBA All-Rookie First Team in 2006, went on to become an All-Star with the Jazz in 2010. After falling out with Jerry Sloan, Williams was sent to the Nets for Derek Favors and Devin Harris. Of course, Favors went on to play parts of 10 seasons with the Jazz and was a fan favorite during his time in Salt Lake. In 2018, the Jazz were part of a 3-team trade, a deal in which the Jazz sent Rodney Hood and Joe Johnson away. In return, they got Jay Crowder. Crowder played only 1 full season with the Jazz, a season in which he received votes for Sixth Man of the Year award, though. In 2011, the Utah Jazz used the 3rd overall pick on center Enes Kanter. In just 3.5 seasons with the Jazz, Kanter fell out of the good graces of the organization and the fan base. And with the rise of Rudy Gobert, Kanter became dispensable, kissing the Utah media goodbye as he was traded to Oklahoma City for a future first-round draft pick. In 2004, The Utah Jazz made a move that paid off big time in the future. They sent Keon Clark and Ben Handlockton to the Suns for aging star Tom Gugliotta, a Knicks first-round draft pick. Gugliotta played just 25 games for the Jazz, but that future first-round draft pick, that became the 9th overall pick in 2010, the pick used to select Gordon Hayward. Well, I got a question for you. Is Keontae George a piece to the future of what the Jazz are trying to build? The second-year guard started all 32 games that he's played this season until last Saturday when he was benched for rookie guard Isaiah Collier. But does that equate to lost opportunities for Keontae? Not necessarily. In the 4 games that George has come off the bench prior to this weekend, he had played 32, 31, 32, and 26 minutes, so plenty of time still. He's averaging more than 5 assists and 3.5 rebounds to go with 14.5 points during those games. And on Thursday night, he led the Jazz with 23 points on a perfect 7 for 7 from the field. Now, whether he's starting or not, Key says he's not changing his approach.
I think it's not about, I'm not thinking coming off the bench. My preparation has been the same every single night. This is a big boy league, and you got to guard every single night. So I'm just trying to come in, meet the level of the game, just going out there and playing basketball. That's really been the main thing for me. I just been trying to, keep a level head and understand that at the end of the day, this is just basketball.
Stay aggressive. The minute you play in this league period is all, they all mean something. So you go out there, play how you would play if you was a starter, and make an impact in the game. I've been off the bench for a while now, and I don't look at it as I'm just this guy who's not starting. I'm just out there, another player that's going to impact the game.
Thursday night, Joe Ingles had only played a total of 35 minutes over 8 games this season for the Timberwolves. In the final minutes of the game against the Jazz at Delta Center, the Jazz crowd started chanting for the former fan favorite to get into the game, and Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch listened, and thanks to some coaxing from his players, they put Joe into the game to the delight of the Utah crowd.
Stretching down the floor as you get older, you got to make sure you stretch. Everyone's yelling for Ingles.
Yep, the crowd's yelling for Joe. Yep.
Here he comes. Here he comes. Jiggling Joe. It's got to be a great feeling to come back and get that type of reception.
Yep.
It's, like I said, it was a special place for 8 years, and obviously we won a lot of games. Obviously we didn't obviously go all the way or do what we really wanted to do, but we built this into a pretty cool place, and obviously for the fans, every night was a pretty fun game to watch. So it's like I said, it's always going to be special coming back.
Well, Utah Hockey Club fans, you have a chance to vote for one of the final 3 names. The final 3 were Mammoth, Wasatch, and Hockey Club, but after just 1 day of voting, Wasatch was taken out and replaced with Outlaws. Only fans at home games have been able to vote. The final day to cast your vote at Delta Center will be Tuesday when Utah hosts the Philadelphia Flyers. Good advice on the golf course, don't drive angry. Also good advice, putt like this Jazz fan. During Thursday night's game, this fan made this putt for $5,000. He made $6,250 in total. Man, hey, too early for flapjacks? Let's go.